You ready? This way. This way. Yeah. Yeah. Nikki and I just got back from our usual walk. And I've been reading this book right here. This book is called Chase the Lion. And it's really very inspirational. Matter of fact, the back of it says, quit playing it safe and start running toward the roar. And wow, reading this book today, there was a couple of lines that I read that really took me back and reminded me about the dream Rebecca had about going to Costa Rica. And one of the biggest mistakes we made prior to coming to Costa Rica. So I want to share that with you today. All right, well, before I get started, let me remind you, watch all the way to the end. I hope that I have some really inspirational or very interesting Costa Rican video shots for you that you can enjoy. But today, I really want to just share with you a couple of things, okay? I want to tell you a quick short story about why Rebecca and I even came here and how in 30 days from the moment she says, why don't we go to Costa Rica? We were on a plane, okay? I don't suggest doing that, but I want to share that story. But, you know, if you know anything about me, you know, now that we have found our perfect slice of paradise, you know, life in Costa Rica has just gotten better and better and better. But that can sometimes be a challenge. But my point is, now that I'm here, well, Nikki and I, we do the same thing almost every morning and every evening. Well, every morning I get up and Nikki and I, we go for a walk. That's my time to kind of reflect, to gather my thoughts and get a plan of what am I going to do today? You know, what am I building on? Where am I at? You know, and when I go, I usually sit there and I have my phone and I read a little bit in my Bible app, and I'm reading this book right now. And that's really what I want to share because, you know, this is really a great book. It's Chase the Lion. But, you know, the subtitle, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's too small. And wow, that makes sense. But I read something in here today that inspired me and reminded me of the dream Rebecca had when she said, why don't we go to Costa Rica? And he said something in here that reminded me of what I used to say at the bottom of all of my emails. I used to sign off the bottom of my emails that said, vision without execution is only a hallucination. A lot of people have this vision to do something or to do that, but they don't ever do anything about it. There's no execution, and so then it's just a pipe dream. Well, this guy in this book, he said something that reminded me of that, okay? And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because it brought me back to 10 years ago when Rebecca said, why don't we go to Costa Rica? But he said, and he was talking about dreams, and he says, whenever you get ready to do something and you have a dream, well, you got to begin thinking, what is it that you got to stop doing today? What is it you got to start doing today? You know, he says, you know, our natural tendency to do things is to think the way we've always thought. Do things the way that we've always done them. But if we keep doing that, well, then nothing ever changes. Well, he goes on to say, whether it's a stop doing list or a start doing list, a dream without a to-do list is just called a wish list. And I got to thinking about that. I was like, wow, that's pretty deep right there. A dream without a to-do list is just a wish list. And it reminds me of when we came to Costa Rica, because there's a lot of people who are dreaming about going to Costa Rica. And if you don't get a to-do list, or if you don't start doing something about it, it's just a wish list. And so what happens are people saying, I wish I could go to Costa Rica. But their natural tendency is to start thinking about, well, you know, I really can't go to Costa Rica. I got to do this and I got to do that. And then they start looking for all of these excuses instead of the benefits of why we're so used to doing the same thing that we always do. Okay. So let me back up. You know, Rebecca and I was doing what we were always doing. We had been living in Las Vegas for just a year. And, you know, she goes to this health market. She meets this girl who says, hey, she's been thinking about going to Costa Rica. She's been researching it. And, well, they talk for the next couple of hours. Rebecca comes home and says, why don't we go to Costa Rica? And I'm like, why? I mean, that was so out of the blue for Rebecca to say something like that. We had just settled in. I mean, I had this huge 20-foot covered trailer, you know, box trailer. That's where all my tools and stuff, whenever I'd go do a construction job somewhere, that's where my tools were at. Well, we had packed everything that we had and put it in there and moved to Las Vegas. Well, we still had some personal effects in there. You know, we had all new furniture in the house, and we was just getting settled in, but we still had some things in there. And when I say some things, you know, big boy toys. I mean, we had, you know, the scooters and the bikes and mountain bikes and all kind of stuff. And you know, we were kind of storing stuff there like a garage. And she says, but why not go to Costa Rica? She says, at least think about it. And I said, well, you know, we hadn't even finished moving everything. And she says, well, why don't we just go Sunday out in the parking lot and we'll just take inventory of what we have. Well, in her mind, she was already setting up a to-do list, right? And she had planted a seed of, why don't we go to Costa Rica? Well, you know, okay, Sunday we go to the parking lot and I start emptying out the trailer, and I'm putting the mountain bikes out there, and we're looking at inventory. She takes her Jeep. She puts a for sale sign on it. And I was like, dang, she's serious about this thing. I've been trying to get rid of that old Jeep and get her something new, but she was happy with the old Jeep, you know, but she put a for sale sign on it. Well, anyway, long story short, I put stuff out there. She put a for sale sign on there. A guy comes over and he says, you selling that Jeep? Obviously, it's got a for sale sign. He looks at it. He buys the Jeep. I'm like, dang. And then he says, what about this other stuff? I says, oh, I'm thinking about it, you know, not quite sure. I'm just kind of looking at what we got. He calls a friend. Friend comes over. He takes a look around. He finds out, well, are you going to sell that trailer? I says, well, we're going to try to sell everything. I'm possibly thinking about going to Costa Rica, but not sure. He looks at everything. He writes a number on a piece of paper, and he says, I'll give you this for all of it. You going to give me that for all of it? He says, yeah. He says, I just don't want the white truck. And I says, okay, well, I'll keep the white truck. And I says, but I got personal stuff that's inside the trailer that is not for sale. You know, photographs, stuff like that. He says, I got this small trailer. I'll go get it, bring it here. You take your personal stuff, put it in the small trailer. You start putting all of this stuff that you've got unpacked back in the trailer, and I'll take the trailer and all that stuff. I was blown away. I was like, wow. He leaves. While I'm putting stuff in the trailer, this couple walks in and says, hey, y'all selling this stuff? And I said, well, guy just bought it all, but I got a bunch of furniture brand new in my house that we got to sell now. Let's go look. We go look up there. He starts making phone calls. Within a week, nearly everything in the house had sold, and what couple of things didn't sell, I gave to my son. And in 30 days, we were on our way to Costa Rica with 10 suitcases and a dog. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you're wanting to go to Costa Rica, you should do that. See, that brings me back to the biggest mistake we made prior to going to Costa Rica, as we didn't do what you're doing right now. If you're watching this video, well, you're doing some research. You're trying to gather your information. You're trying to learn what you need to learn about going to Costa Rica. However, the unfortunate thing is there's a lot of misinformation on YouTube, on Google about Costa Rica. It really burns me up. Anyway, I'll be doing a video soon on how you can discover what's real information and what's not, to kind of help you in your research. But that kind of brings me back to that dream, okay, and what that guy said. You know, a dream without a to-do list is, well, only a wish list. And so a lot of people they want to go to Costa Rica, but they're not doing anything about it. Just getting information is not doing anything about it. You've got to start that to-do list. You know, if you don't have a to-do list, then you don't know what to do next. And I know what you're thinking. Well, wait, Alan, I don't even know where to start. Good news. Look, you can schedule a free 20-minute phone consultation with me. Go to the link below and schedule that 20-minute phone call. Doesn't cost you a single thing. I don't have anything for sale on my YouTube channel. The whole reason I started this channel is because Rebecca and I made a lot of mistakes. We came here in less than 30 days. Not the best way to do it. We didn't do the research. I didn't know who to trust. I lost a lot of money. Hence, the whole reason I started this YouTube channel is to help you avoid making the same mistakes we made, okay? So let me get back to that to-do list. You can do one of two things. You can watch video after video after video and never, ever begin, and then you'll start thinking, well, maybe I got a job, I got this, how am I going to do that? You can either look for excuses or you can look for benefits of why moving will be better than where you're at now. But you can't do both. You either look for excuses or look for benefits. You can't do both, okay? So you have to begin that to-do list. Now, once you do that to-do list, there's quite a bit to do. And it's kind of difficult to maybe get all of that research because you don't know who you can trust and who you can't trust. So let me share an inspirational story about two people that just inspired me, okay? The biggest reason I started these relocation events is because of so many misinformation out there. So I remember Shelly. Shelly is just an amazing woman. Let me tell you about Shelly, okay? Very interesting woman. And the interesting thing about Shelly is that she was older than most people, I think, that come to Costa Rica. Now, I don't know her exact age. Shelly, forgive me if I say the wrong thing, but I think she's in her late 60s, maybe 70s. But just an extremely sweet woman, but she was constantly watching videos. And when she heard the promise that we always make, look, after 1 week of being at the relocation event where you're not being sold anything, you will know whether Costa Rica is right for you or not. You'll have all of the information. So she said, okay, I'm going to the event. And so she goes to the event, and this was 2 events back, okay? And just a very interesting lady, very sweet. And we always, we have live music and everything. She's dancing out there. She's having a good time. She's going to the sessions, and she really just had a great week. And, hey, we left that event, and then you know what? A couple of weeks later, Mike and I are doing our podcast, and Shelly says, I'm going to Costa Rica. And it kind of shocked both Michael and I. It's like at her age, she could have easily found excuse after excuse. She could have said, well, at my age, is it safe? At my age, what am I going to do by myself? At my age, as a woman, she could have came up with excuse after excuse, but she didn't. She came up with a list. Her to-do list, and she started checking off the boxes. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to downsize. I got to get rid of this. And I got to, same thing for Rebecca and I. Once everything's sold, we had to start our to-do list. Okay, well, what is it we're going to bring? What is it we're going to get rid of? Okay, we're going to bring a dog, but what do we got to do, tick, 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 to bring that dog? You got to have that to-do list, right? Well, that's what Shelly did. She went to the event, and she got her to-do list, and then she decided to go to Costa Rica. Well, let me tell you about Tom. Tom and Robert, who was at the last event, okay? So she decided to come. Hey, Costa Rica's not right for everybody. There's people that come through and decide, yeah, I'm glad I came to the retreat. Worst case scenario, it was a vacation of a lifetime. But I realized after hearing what I heard that maybe it's not for me, and I'll continue researching. Well, let me tell you about Tom. 72 years old, okay? He's about my size, a little thinner. And Robert, he's 69. He's about my size, but he's maybe twice my size, a little bit bigger, okay? But, Robert was just a lot of fun. Tom was a little quieter. But what impressed me, Tom being at that age, and Robert, both of them, went on almost all of the activities. So imagine 69 years old, 72 years old, zip lining, going surfing, right? Or learning the surfing lessons, doing the waterfall rappelling. And they were experiencing what Costa Rica has. They were going to the sessions. Now, by the end of the event, hey, Robert, for sure, he was all excited. He's like, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. Tom was a little quieter. So, but hey, Tom's in the Facebook group, that we now have for the alumni. And Tom's all excited. He was inspirational that at that age, he wasn't like, well, I'm too old to zip line. No, he was going to experience stuff. Robert, he's like, I got that one off the bucket list, So the important thing that I want for you to get out of this, because I'm not pushing a relocation event. It is a very good thing, but here's what's important. Most important thing, the most inspirational thing that I hope you get out of this message is that if you've got a vision, if you got a dream, it goes back to what I used to have in every one of my emails. Vision without execution is only a hallucination. You're only hallucinating. You're lying to yourself if you don't ever do anything. And then, you're a few months from your deathbed and you're like, I wished I would have at least tried. It would have been better to have tried and failed, gone to Costa Rica, experienced it, changed my mind, go back, than to be sitting here saying, I wished I could have, would have done that and I didn't do it, okay? Hey, if you've got a dream, and you don't have a to-do list, you're only wishing you could have gone to Costa Rica. So instead of making excuses, I want to encourage you to look at all of the benefits. Start that to-do list. And if you don't know where to start, hey, even if you do know where to start, simple. Schedule that 20-minute free phone consultation. Rebecca and I would be excited to kind of help you out, answer any questions, and together, let's find out if Costa Rica is right for you. Hey, enjoy these great video clips coming up.
Look at the birds flying across. Get it. Can you get it?
One of the benefits of living right in a small family community is you don't have to have your own music. You can always listen to theirs.